Okay guys, I have an update. I went ahead and just put the Blazer, I put the front end on ramps, picked up the back end of the Blazer with my floor jack, and then threw a big jack stand under there so if it tried to roll or act dumb, it wouldn't at least crush me. So I had a heck of a time getting the drain plug out of this transmission. Last time we checked the fluid was when we did the exhaust at Andy's shop on the lift, and apparently he had tightened that thing so tight that I had to use a 3/8 ratchet with like a 6 or 8 inch bar on the bottom of my ratchet to get that stupid plug to come loose. You know, note to self, it's a steel plug into an aluminum case. It doesn't necessarily need to be that tight. So once you snug it down and then give it a little more, that's all you need to do on drain plugs, guys. You know, I've torn out drain plugs years ago, you know, when I was in my early 20s working at oil change places. It's nothing more frustrating than pulling out a drain plug and getting the threads with it too. Or God forbid you get one that just spins and it won't come out. But I opted to I drained it until all the ATF came out. If you remember, I put that, I think it's Dex 3. I was following, there were several forums and different recommendations online, and it recommended using that older fluid because it had a little bit thicker viscosity than like the newest version of the GM Dex Merc or whatever transmission fluid. Well, since I'm having so many issues with this thing whining once the transmission gets fully heat soaked, I did a little bit of research online, and there was quite a few people, way more people were recommending it than not, to try that Synchromesh transmission fluid, because it's supposed to have some different properties to it to hold up a little bit better to temperature. But if I can't cure that issue, then it's just time to put new main shaft bearings in the transmission. So, you know, we were looking at like $8 a bottle. You need 3 quarts of the fluid, because this thing holds like 5.9 pints. Well, in my life, that means put 3 damn quarts in there and run the stupid thing. But I'm going to go ahead and try the Pennzoil Synchromesh. And if it doesn't work, or if it helps it a little bit, but maybe not 100%, I might try the Royal Purple, what's it called, Synchromax, which is what I wanted to try this time, but it was a deal where Advance Auto Parts didn't have it in stock, and they have to get it like through their performance warehouse downtown, and I don't know, it was just a big runaround, and I didn't want to wait on them to order it in and plus pay. Gosh, instead of $8.99 a quart, I think that Royal Purple was like either $14 or $17 a quart. But I have that as like a final, you know, attempt to band-aid this issue before I just break down and go through the transmission. Because if I rebuild this T-5, it's going to get all new bearings, bushings, brace, you know, whatever I need, new synchronizers. I'm going to make it 100% brand new if I have to go inside of it. So I apologize. I tried to video underneath the car, but we have a concrete crew working probably less than 50 yards from us. We have a lot of wind today for some reason, and I couldn't, you ever heard the expression, I just couldn't get the shot. I couldn't find a way to set up the camera where it wasn't in the path of the wind, and I couldn't get the angle where you guys could see the stupid drain and fill plugs underneath. Well, after I got it all drained out, and I mean, I let it sit there until it didn't even drip anymore. I got all that ATF out of there. I just put the plug in, and I decided that I'd just pull the shifter off and fill it from up top, rather than sit there and have to fight with a little hose and trying to push that fluid up into this transmission I just yanked that stupid shifter off there and poured it in through the shifter box. So that's where I'm at. I just finished putting in the 3 quarts of Pennzoil Synchromesh, because there are several different companies that make it. I'm sure they all have their own little proprietary differences, but they all have to comply with the GM fluid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you go to look at the Synchromesh, it should say on the bottle that it complies with the GM, and it'll give you 2 different part numbers. So make sure that you verify that it does have the right ingredients in it, and, you know, at least follows the recipe that GM put out. So, and like I said, if this doesn't fix it 100%, I'll try the Royal Purple, and if that don't fix it, then it's time to go through the transmission. But as many of you, well, some of you may know, this transmission only cost me $145. So if it ends up needing to be rebuilt, it's, you know, that's to be expected on a $145 transmission. But the symptoms I'm having is, to me, it's never shifted as smoothly as it should. And, you know, part of that could be that jerry-rigged shifter I have on there, but I haven't been able to fund buying a real GM T-5 shifter. I just have that jerry-rigged Ford one on there, and if you go back and look at my videos about that, that's a huge nightmare. Approach that with caution. But I never felt like this transmission shifts as smoothly as other T5s I've driven in the past, which there again could be directly related to wear and use from the previous owners. But once you drive this thing, and I've been just estimating 15 miles or more, or it could be just run time, not necessarily miles traveled. Once the fluid in this transmission gets fully heat soaked, it starts whining. It almost sounds, it's not super loud. It almost sounds like an old Muncie M22 rock crusher sound, or maybe like a really mild power steering pump whine, but it just starts making noise and it drives me crazy. It doesn't seem to affect drivability, so it's not like I'm worried about getting stranded. I just can't, I don't know, I don't deal with that whining noise and people thinking that there's something wrong with my car. So anyway, I just wanted to do a video. I wanted to show more about, you know, draining that fluid out and filling it back up, but like I said, it was just way too windy, and I got this concrete crew over here pouring foundations, and they've got concrete trucks running, they've got a crane, you know, backhoe. It's just super freaking loud. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching my videos. I'm gonna start putting up more videos. I'd like to put up 2 or 3 per week, and I have some information that I'm gonna put into I'm gonna have an explanation video coming up. I'll probably post tonight because I haven't sat down and recorded it yet, and I want to make sure I get all my information in there that I want to do some explaining about the changes I made to my YouTube channel and the motivations and reasoning behind it. I had to make some tough choices and monetize my channel, which I never wanted to do, but I'm literally in a position where I have to do something to try to help myself, and that just seems like a logical step to try to do that. So anyway, I'm going to make a special video about that, probably get it loaded up tonight, and that'll give an explanation of how I ended up where I am now, and hopefully get some more useful information in these videos. So thanks again for watching, guys.